My next Patreon question is from Benjamin, who would like to know, what are your thoughts on objectivity versus subjectivity? That's an interesting question, and certainly an important one when it comes to the subject of media discussion. Too many people do seem to mistake the two, even though they have distinct meanings. Something being objective is a fact, not influenced by personal feelings, while subjectivity is based on one's own opinions and views. It's unfortunate to see opinions so often treated as fact. This especially happens in fan communities, unsurprisingly a lot with the Star Wars movies. I like the Star Wars movies. I find them to be fun space movies, but the fan base tends to take them way too seriously, and that creates issues. Too often I see The Last Jedi referred to as an objectively bad movie. Removing my own opinion on the film from the equation, I don't see how someone can say that with a straight face. You are absolutely free to hate The Last Jedi and have problems with the creative decisions made. You can even call it bad based on your own subjective thoughts. But don't proclaim your own thoughts as objective, because that's not what the word means. There is no such thing as a piece of art, like The Last Jedi or any other movie, that is objectively bad, because how we judge something is completely based on personal opinion. Now, are there films that try to promote bad and dangerous ideologies and morals? Absolutely. The propaganda film Trying for the Will falls into this category. This is a movie that promotes a hateful fascist regime. Saying it's a promotional tool for a dictator, thus making it a dangerous weapon in mythologizing him and bringing his ideas to a bigger audience, is an objective fact. However, calling it boring and finding fault with the editing, both issues I have with the film, is a subjective opinion. I think the intentions of Trying for the Will are definitely different than the $200 million blockbuster playing at your local multiplex, though. Moving on, I especially find it annoying when people call comedies objectively bad. Comedy is the most subjective thing in the world, as what one person finds hilarious, another viewer might sit stone-faced at. Paul Feig's Ghostbusters reboot gets called objectively bad a lot, but what was the film trying to do? Make a silly comedy about catching ghosts. You ultimately found it funny, or you didn't. If you sat through Ghostbusters and did not crack a smile, that's perfectly fine. But don't go around saying that it's a fact that the movie is an objectively poor piece of filmmaking, as if everyone in the entire world feels that way. I like the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, but I'm not saying it's objectively good because my enjoyment of the film is just my own personal opinion. I've spoken before about the way the Rotten Tomatoes score is bandied about as some exact science on the quality of a film, but it's worth repeating. That score is merely a percentage of various critics' opinions, and it is always going up and down depending on the reviews being added on a given day. I've actually seen the opposite occur too, where some point to the Rotten Tomatoes score and say, well, you know for a fact that's wrong. It's not a fact. You just disagree with the percentage of critics who liked or disliked said movie. I also hate to go back to Star Wars, but there's a phrase that's been thrown around these past few years called phantom menacing. Basically, it's a condescending way of saying somebody initially liked something and then saw the light and realized it was objectively bad. I think, more logically, a lot of people will revisit something that they had not seen in some years and form a new opinion. Nobody has the same opinion of a movie the second or third or fourth time they watch it, because they find new things to either like or dislike about it. For example, I've seen a shift in opinion on Ace Ventura: Pet Detective in recent years. Many have revisited it and found Jim Carrey's antics not as amusing, and a particular plot point in the third act be rather offensive and mean-spirited. It's not that they suddenly realized it was bad all this time, they just rewatched it with a different perspective. And there are still plenty of people who have revisited Ace Ventura and still love the film, and that's great too. There are also films that were not well received on the initial release that eventually grew an appreciative audience over time, as well as films that got good reviews back in the day, but maybe nowadays people aren't as enthusiastic about. Saying 2 times 2 equals 4, and that Buenos Aires is the capital of Argentina, are objective statements. Saying Batman vs. Superman is bad is not. Now let me know your thoughts on the matter, and thank you for your question, Benjamin.